This is Nancy with Nancy's Garden Soap, and I'm going to be making a black pepper fragranced black, blue and white soap tonight in a big loaf mold. And I have some activated charcoal mixed into the recipe that I'm using is mostly tallow with castor oil in it. And so this is some of that oil mixed up with activated charcoal right there. And then I have a periwinkle mica mixed in here. I'll be adding some goat's milk and honey that I have mixed up in this little section right here. I stick blended it, and I'm hoping that I'll get all the lumps out. It's almost delumped. Here's my pot of oils. I have my fragrance oil in the back and a loaf mold. I should say a big old mold ready. The lye is hot. The tallow I melted earlier today. It's at room temperature or a little bit cool. You can see that it's not completely liquid yet. Let me set this aside. Okay, and I'm thinking that the hot lye is going to melt the rest of the tallow. And so I'm just going to give it a stir for a little bit until it gets all liquidy again. About 5 or 10 minutes ago, it was pretty much still liquid, and I could pour it out and measure it. And then it solidified. That worked out pretty well. I don't think that's a trace. It does look emulsified to me, so I'm going to add in my fragrance oil to it. I mix it in. And now, while this is still hot and really liquidy, I'm going to mix up some of this oil, this soap batter. Oh, it smells good. Into the honey and oatmeal right there. Mix that up. Because I don't want any lumps. Here. I'm not going to scrape the sides in case there's anything that clings to it. I'm using a different stick blender, and I'm not sure if it's less powerful or what. It is shorter than my other ones, but since I'm making a slightly smaller batch right now, I decided to use this one. Because I have multiple stick blenders. I get backups at thrift shops and such. The black pepper fragrance oil is an imitation of Molton Brown. Molton Brown. I think this stick blender is quieter too. I'm hoping it's quieter because I'm talking over it. It's a copycat of a Molton Brown cologne called black pepper or black peppercorn. Okay, let's mix in the other. Look at this. What is this? I'm thinking that is part of the goat milk powder that I pre-mixed earlier. I'm gonna clean that off real quick. All right, that's all cleaned up. Let's mix up the colors. It's not quite at trace that I can tell. And here's the blue that I'm gonna do it in the pot swirl, I believe, as long as it behaves. When you work with tallow soap, it gets thick really fast. It's hard to do fancier things with it. So I'm just gonna add this in. And that's why I decided I was going to do an in the pot swirl, just to make things go a little bit better. And the hot soap should melt the tallow that's at the bottom that's mixed with the colorant. I love that color. Isn't it pretty? And here's the black. This is activated charcoal. You can't see that too well. Let's slide it over. And I think I put like a teaspoon, maybe 2 in here. Blend the black first and then go to the blue. The reason for that is if I have a color that goes into my big pot of soap, I want it to be the blue. And I unplug this so that I can clean it. It's always good practice. Alright, let's go with that. I'm thinking it's a very light trace. I've done a lot of mixing. So we're going to go with it and see how it turns out. Alright, let me bring up the mold. Alright, let's do a little bit of white. This is the large mold that I'm using. It's about 8 inches by 15 inches. And I'm going to pour a little bit in to start. Like so. I'm going to move over here a little bit. I'm going to pour into the bucket here. Let's do some here. Some over here. I'm letting some go to the bottom. I want some to the top. And then over here. And then I'm going to grab this spatula and put it in. I'm going to go down to the middle, around, and back, and stop. And then I'm going to pour and we'll see what we get. There's the pattern. And here's the pour. Seeing a lot of gray, which I don't really like. Scrape this out. This is one of my most favorite scents of all. So I've got extra of the blue here, so I'm just going to try lining this up on the top, like so. Scrape this out. Do the same with the black. And tonight I think I'm going to use a pipette, plastic pipette. Go back and forth like this through the top to make stripes. Just a minute. Alright, there it is. And we'll come back for the cut. And looks pretty cool on top. Let's hope the inside is. So here's the black pepper tallow soap that I made last night, and I think it's pretty much cool by now. So I can move this out of the way. There we go. And there's the loaf out of the mold. This looks like it needs it has a little bit of soda ash on the top, so I'm going to spray it with some rubbing alcohol. So I keep some 91% rubbing alcohol in a spray bottle. We're spraying the top, and that kind of brightens it up a little bit. There we go. Let that sit for a minute, and then I'm going to get my log cutter out, and we'll split this into long loaves. Alright, this here is my loaf cutter, and I've tightened up the guitar string right there, and I set the width here that I want for the soap, and I'm ready to slide this through. Let's see if I can pick this up with the camera between us. The tallow soaps get really hard really fast, making them a little bit more challenging to cut. And just push through like so. That makes one. Right there, and then we'll cut the next one. And we have one more. I always love this last little sliver that I get off the end right there. I don't know why. I just like that. And this is the third one right here. And in a few minutes, I'll bring out the cutter and we'll cut it into slices. Here's the soap cutter, and these are in pretty good shape right there. Tighten up the strings and put a soap down in the middle and line first cut, so let's see what we got here. I was kind of hoping for a slightly more delineated, you know, more swirly look. This looks a little bit like marble, which is nice. It's not exactly what I was going for. Okay, these guys here we need to cut again. Move them out of the way. All right, next one. We're just going to cut half of this. Like so. Almost lost that one. It's all right. Yeah, it looks a little bit like marble to me. Kind of cool.